Hi there. So in the most recent previews, there was a listing for a Destroyer Duck Graphite edition, published by Tomorrow's Publishing, and it's going to have the first 5 issues of Destroyer Duck, which are the 5 that are drawn by Kirby. So I thought that I would take a look at a previous Graphite edition that Tomorrow's published, Silver Star. And I hadn't read this, since it came out. I took a look at it last night, reread it, enjoyed it. It's full on Gonzo Kirby stuff. It's kind of the last major thing he ever did. And so Kirby, by the early 70s, had taken to the practice of photocopying his pencils before he had them inked, so that he would have an original record of what he had done. I don't know if this was just a matter of the technology being available to him, or if it was because he discovered that inkers like Vinnie Coletta had been just erasing big portions of his work, and he wanted to have some record of what he had actually done. But I'm glad he did that, and so his archives are what this publication is taken from. The first issue, they had barely anything, and all of the double page spreads were unavailable. So the pages that they don't have pencils of are presented here in ink. They also kind of just re-lettered everything. Here's the cover to the first issue in pencil. But they re-lettered everything just to make it legible, so you weren't trying to read his. He would write everything out, but then the inker would go and make it tighter. Here's an early concept drawing of Darius Drum, who's the villain. Definitely has a dark side look to him. This is another comic where logic kind of goes out the window, and you just have to roll with it. So here we have this presented with the inks. Here's a page from the first issue that's in color. I think it might be the only one. Really lovely page, though. But Kirby's work looks great here, just in black and white, with Mike Royer's inking. I guess we do have some more pencils here. So, but it's a mix and match. He didn't have all of them. Then we get to issue 2, and here we get into really lots of pencils. So here's the cover, all in pencil, and then we go to the pages. Double page spread, as I said. They didn't have any of those. I think that looks fantastic. One thing that's always amazed me about Kirby's pencils is how much is there. You would think that for a guy who was going as fast as he was, all of the shading and things he's doing, these are sort of things that someone else in his position probably would just not do, and figure that a colorist or an inker would figure it out, and they would put that stuff in. But Kirby's pages are remarkably finished and in the pencil stage. And that's true of the 60s, too. When he was just churning out 100 pages a month. Just beautiful looking, fully realized pages. This is near the end for him. He would be alive for another 10 years, but health concerns definitely were slowing him down. He was older. So things might not be quite as crisp as they were in his younger years. Another great 2-page spread. Silver Star smashing into this car. But I think it's still amazing that at his age, his work is as vibrant and fully formed as it is. Just fantastic. And it's dynamic, full of life. And like I said, the story itself, pretty wacky. But with Kirby, he's one of those creators where it is best just to give over and accept the voice, accept the bombast. I mean, look at this. Here's a carousel spinning out of control, and here it is. You know, it's a bird's eye view of it whirling out of control, and the horses are just flying off it. Just incredible work. Great cover. Looks like it could be from the Eternals or something. So anyway, past that, I don't have a ton to say about this comic, but I thought I would do a flip through. Like I said, they're going to do a Destroyer Duck version in the next couple months. I think that's going to be a hardcover, probably more nicely produced than this one. Not that I think this one is bad at all, but a friend of mine told me that this was pretty unavailable. It was going for some money on eBay and wasn't the sort of thing you could just go out and pick up. And we get to some ink pages. And then we go back to the pencils. Yeah, just great page. So anyway, I hope that the Destroyer Duck book does well. I would love to get a version of this, or a version of Captain Victory in this format. Especially if you get it oversized. You know, getting an artist edition is probably out of the question. That probably wouldn't happen, but that's okay. Even just a nice printing of this material in the pencil stage would be a real treat. Another just phenomenal cover. Looks so good. And yeah, all of his double page spreads are just mind-blowingly good. Yeah, even at the end, he's just doing incredible work. I wish we had this kind of material for all of the Prime Kirby stuff, the Silver Age Marvel and the Fourth World stuff at DC, but it's a real gift just to have this. At the back, they include kind of a screenplay treatment that was written by Jack Kirby and Steve Sherman. And then include some extra pieces of art that were not used, not included, conceptual drawings, things like that. It's mentioned in the introduction they're not sure whether this series was meant to conclude after 6 issues or if it was because Pacific was having a hard time financially. But it does wrap up as a single volume, which is nice. And of course, very rare with Kirby. Everything with Kirby was meant to go on and on and on. So to have a complete standalone story by him is very nice. Very quickly, I'll show some Destroyer Duck. I feel, this comic here, Destroyer Duck 2, was a comic I had in my collection very, very early on because I got it in a grab bag. Which shows you kind of what the value of these comics were at the time. These were from 1982, is when number 1 came out. And the purpose of this series was, it was to benefit Steve Gerber's lawsuit against Marvel regarding ownership of Howard the Duck. So, Kirby came on as an artist. Clearly he had his own feelings about his treatment at the hands of Marvel. The inker is Alfredo Alcala. Steve Lealoha is the colorist and Beak consultant, because he had worked on Howard the Duck. And Tom Orzechowski is the letterer. So just a great team working on this thing. Fantastic 2-page spread. Kirby didn't do tons of animal comics. Outside of Kamandi, I'm having a hard time thinking about him drawing this kind of stuff too much, and certainly not in this kind of manner where it's meant to be humorous. And he and Gerber, that's a very weird pairing. And this is probably the last time that Kirby drew anything that somebody else wrote. So, anyway, I would not make huge arguments about at the back here, great moments in comic book history. So anyway, I wouldn't make big arguments about how great this comic is. It's not, but it's fun. It's a good snapshot of the time, that's for sure. Historically, it's kind of important because of Gerber and Kirby working on this thing. This backup story here in issue 2, created and written by Jerry Siegel, illustrated by Val Mayerick. But obviously Jerry Siegel would be a guy who would be sympathetic to the cause of getting fucked over by your company. So yeah, the fact that this kept up for a few issues is a little strange to me, actually. But these are pretty nice looking comics. I mean, especially I think the production seems very crisp. Some of the Eclipse comics could get a little muddled. So, anyway, looking forward to seeing the Kirby primary version. Here we get into, see, there's a little bit of this muddled look that I associate with Eclipse. So, not that they're not still enjoyable, but there you go. But anyway, so late era Kirby, odd Kirby. That's a fantastic Kirby cover. Love that one. Kirby and Alcala working together. So, anyway. And these are so late era Kirby. They always have a Rick Veitch vibe to them. This sort of absurd setting going on. So, anyway, a couple months from now, keep your eyes peeled for the Graphite edition of Destroyer Duck. I can't imagine that it's going to be printed in huge quantities, so if this seems appealing, I might recommend ordering it ahead of time. That's it. So, Silver Star, Destroyer Duck, late era Kirby, kind of forgotten Kirby a little bit. Strangely uncollected Kirby. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know that there's ever been a straight reprint of this. Maybe there has, and I've forgotten. I'm certain that Captain Victory's never been collected, so wouldn't mind seeing that happen. All right, thanks.